Hi everyone, welcome back. So I'm not going to bury the lead at all. Today I'm going to be playing what I do believe is the best deck in Legacy right now. On this channel, we've seen a lot of different, blue soup variations. I think that right now, Bant is the best of them, and that it is the best deck in the format. It gained we'll say 2.5, because depending on who you talk to, they had different opinions on it, but it gained a few new key cards from Modern Horizons 2 that I think have pushed it over the edge. The first one we're going to talk about is Prismatic Ending. So, this one, we've seen it before. We've seen it in some of my past videos. You pay a few different colors of mana, and then you can exile something based on the number of colors you paid. So what this ends up being is just a really efficient way to trade 1-for-1 with pretty much anything in the format at cost. The fact that it costs the same amount of mana as what you're trading with all the time makes it much, much better than something like Council's Judgment, where, if you want a Council's Judgment, a Sylvan Library, you're paying 3 mana to their 2, and you need double white. Whereas this, you just need, blue white or green white or whatever. The other one is Endurance. This one we've also seen a bit in some of my past videos and has been getting a lot of hype. 3/4 flash reach. When at ETBs, you can have a player shuffle their graveyard into the bottom of their library. And it has Evoke, exile a green card from your hand. The thing that makes this so good is that in this hyper intense, unfair graveyard matchups, you just have another, 0 mana point of interaction, and it's much, much better than Force of Will, as far as like an interaction point is concerned, because, say you're playing against Reanimator, with Force of Will, you have to either, force the Entomb or force the reanimation spell. And either way, they have the other half of the combo that you didn't force still around. If you force Reanimate, they still have the big creature in the graveyard. If you force the Entomb, they still have the Reanimate in hand. With Endurance, you can just let them go for their thing and then evoke Endurance, and then, they have to rebuild both halves of the combo. All that for 0 mana. And then against the fair matchups, it just ends up being this really efficiently statted body that either, blocks and eats Delver, blocks and eats Dragon Rage Channeler, blocks and eats, Ragavan, attacks Planeswalkers in the end step, kind of out of nowhere, makes graveyards smaller so that Uro has trouble escaping. It does a lot in the fair matchups. And so it's just kind of like this all-around superstar. And then even against like the tribal decks, like the Elves and Taxes of the world, it is a 3/4 flash blocker. And so it can make combat difficult for them if they don't have the instant removal. And then the last card, which I am absolutely, ecstatic over the moon. If you follow me on Twitter, I've been posting about this card a lot. It's called Dress Down. I think that this is the key that moves this deck from, a good deck with some potential problems to just, one of the best decks. So let's kind of break this down a little bit and talk about why I think it's so good, because it's kind of difficult to fully appreciate it on first read or first glance. So it's a 2-mana enchantment, flash. When an ETBs, draw a card, and then creatures lose all abilities. And then at the beginning of the end step, you sacrifice Dress Down. So why is this good? The reason this is good is not really because it's particularly synergistic with your deck, although it is a little bit. The main reason this is good is because it's really good at kind of rebuffing what your opponent is trying to do, breaking apart their synergies, breaking apart their value engines, and playing really well alongside your flash threats to mess up combat for the opponent. So I'll get into a few situations just real quick. So, removing all abilities removes things like protection and first strike out of Death and Taxes. So if you have an Ice-Fang Coatl, against an opposing Thalia, you can just play Dress Down, and then they're going to trade evenly. And even if they have Mother of Runes in play, they can't save the Thalia from the Ice-Fang Coatl, because if Mom gives protection to Thalia, then once this resolves, it loses that protection, and then if it if you try to wait, once this resolves, Mom can't protect anything anymore. So that's really nice. A lot of creatures that see play in Legacy have some sort of ETB type card advantage type thing. So, think like Coatl, think Baleful Strix, think Stoneforge Mystic. And so even something as simple as 2 mana, your opponent doesn't draw a card is a 2-for-1, and it has value. When it even gets even better against some more specific cards as well. So True-Name Nemesis is a card that's seeing a slight uptick in play. Protection from a player is in fact an ability, and so if you have Coatl or Endurance or Uro in play, and your opponent attacks with their True Name, you can block it. And I've gotten to do that once. It feels real good. Let me tell you. Things that would enter, if it says like as this would enter, there was a rules change a few years back so that they no longer enter with those extra effects. So, if your opponent is casting Plague Engineer and you dress down in response, it just enters as a 2/2, doesn't get to name your snake. If they're, putting in Sanctum Prelate, it doesn't get to name a number. If a Delver player is putting in Murktide Regent, it doesn't enter with any additional counters. It's just a 3/3, which is not particularly strong, but means that it lines up poorly against Endurance, as well as it can be raced by Uro at that point. So it's not the most impactful thing there, but it's still a thing to keep in mind. And I think that's a lot of the hidden strength of this card, is that a lot of the value of this card comes from knowing all the little situations that it could be good in, so that you can kind of exploit it to its max value. If you are interested in how it lines up versus a lot of the decks in the metagame, I actually wrote a quick 2-page document that I will link in the description that just goes over, some of the more important interactions versus a lot of the decks in the metagame. So I will link that, and you can check it out. Some of my more favorite ones are against Urza Saga. It kills all the construct tokens, and that's kind of the main reason I started looking at this, is because Urza Saga is a very popular card, a very powerful card, and it can be hard to cleanly answer that card like in a 1-for-1 manner, and Dress Down does. They're making 2 constructs and getting a 1-mana artifact. This is killing the constructs and drawing a card. So it cleanly is answering the Urza Saga, and in a much more mana efficient way. Urza Saga, you're essentially tapping 6 mana to make 2 constructs, and this is just 2 mana to answer it. The other big one is removing haste. So against something like Ragavan or Sneak and Show, removing haste from something that has been snuck in or dashed can come up frequently. So the Ragavan doesn't get to hit you or make a treasure. It does still have to go back to their hand in the end step, because the dash puts a triggered ability on the stack. And I'm only scratched the surface of all the things that this card can do. So I'm hoping that we uncover some more things kind of as we work through this set of matches. So that's pretty much it in the sideboard. Just real quick, one more ending, a few stuff for Hateberry stuff for Graveyard and Storm, and then real quick, I just wanted to quickly talk about these 2 flex slots I'm playing, Loam plus Wasteland. So I think that one of the archetypes that this deck can struggle with is non-blue decks that are playing Wasteland. Just, Wasteland or Port, or, things like that, where Carpet of Flowers isn't really useful at all because they're not playing blue. In those sorts of matchups, I think Loam, to just get your mana base under you, is incredibly important and impactful. And so I've been trying this out in the sideboard. It's been impressing me as well. The Wasteland I'm less sure about, but it does combine nicely with Loam, and it is good against enemy Karakuses, where you can win pretty easily through Karakus, because Uro is just gaining you so much life and drawing cards. But it still is nice to be able to just get rid of it, so you can start attacking with your Uro and not have to sink the mana into playing and escaping it so frequently. So I'm trying it out. and we will see how it goes. All right, and without further ado, let's get to the games. Hi everyone, welcome to round one. We are on the draw. Hand's like okay. The mana is decent, you know, we have 2 of our 3 basics. I'm going to lead on this. Obviously, it takes down swords to plowshares, but if I want this to fetch a basic plains, which I do, I couldn't play Coatl on turn 2. Looks like our opponent is on some sort of Urza Saga deck with a basic, so maybe it's that like version with like Standstill and potentially playing red for Ragavon, etc. They might also play Daze, which is something to think about. I think I'm still going to play Coatl on turn 2. Probably should have. It's possible I should have ran it out on my turn, because if my opponent wants to make a construct and Daze, then that's annoying. But it looks like they're just worried about Stifle, which is completely fine. Like it's a good card. So I'm not too worried about Death Touch right now, because I don't plan to block the constructs for a couple turns. I kind of just want to not leave this out, because if my opponent plays Pithing Needle, they could needle this. Obviously, that's bad. Expedition map, that's an interesting one. That's fine. My opponent, a little worried about, wisely playing around Endurance. Wonder if they'll play around another one. And I don't even want to ponder yet. I'm not quite sure what I need. It could be potentially just a Force Pitch. I'm hoping the Endurance is just get the job done. And my opponent might have Swords to Plowshares. If they do, that's fine. Yep, that's fine. Now I will ponder. I'm going to look to find Dress Down. Could also potentially ending the map while I can't use it. It's a close one. I don't even know if I want this Terminus. I guess I probably do. I guess the question becomes, am I racing anymore? I think the answer is yes. I will do the Terminus now, though, since they've spent their whole turn basically So there's a land underneath this. I think I don't want that land. I'm going to ending this. This could play out poorly because it's like they're not like their mana is going to be taxed a lot. On the other hand, I'm not quite sure like how like I was not sure how useful the ending would be otherwise. See what they do with their ponder. They chose to shuffle. Looks like this is land off that. Now they're deciding if they want to minus the Narset or not. I feel like they have it like another Swords of Plowshares is just like a likely card for them to have. So like we have this weird dance going on where like I don't want the endurance to trade with swords, but I want to use my mana for like I can hold up a hard cast force next turn. Yeah, like they do have the swords. That makes sense. So now I'm in this awkward spot where it's like I could hardcast force on the Jace, but if they force back, then I don't get to play the endurance this turn. Then again, I suppose I could just force the endurance. So what if I just force this? That bad? I think that's bad. I think I'm just gonna play the endurance and hope to attack Narset. Obviously, I'm not playing Harvest this turn. I want to hardcast the Force on the Jace. The double swords has been kind of awkward. I'm not fully sure what my opponent is doing because the lists, I haven't seen a list that's just straight blue-white with Standstill and Narset and Jace. I'm going to play into Standstill a bit and get a second Tropical just because the deck is pretty green heavy. So I'm not too upset. Venser, geez, I don't know what's going on anymore. If they find another swords to kill the endurance, then obviously I'm in a good amount of trouble. Okay, so they put a card on bottom. It's fine. So I'm going to lead on this, get a non-land. And then I will play the Uro rather than the Ice-Fang Coatl. I know Ice-Fang can pressure Jace a little bit better, but if I draw a land, I get to do that anyway. And Uro uses a little more mana. Potentially Library is a good pickup. Hard to say. Part of the reason I'm fine playing into Back to Basics is because I'd be a little surprised. All right, I guess that's a bit of a punish for not playing at all, but I think it's still fine. It's just I would just be surprised if Back to Basics was in a Saga deck. Third Sword's really not what I'm looking for. Feeling like a Terminus. If the library survives, I'm thinking like maybe I'll have some, semblance of competitiveness. But they play Ending, they can play another Narset. Oh. That was dumb. If they have Hullbreacher, I want to sleep with white mana. I'm gonna pay 4. Definitely not a great library there, but I do. Right, so I'm gonna fetch again to play around potential Pithing Needles that they might have. Got a basic fetch. I actually am considering swordsing one and saving the dress down. But we'll see what they do. I kind of want them to spend. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, all sorts of construct. I kind of want them to spend this mana, make another construct, and then I dress down that. And, also, they're out of 1 mana artifacts to get. Also, they might. Okay, interesting. So I will let that resolve, and then I guess I'm just gonna do this now, so they don't gain any life, and I draw a card. Brainstorm's a great pickup there. I'm gonna save it for a turn though. Just get a little bit deeper with library first. Really looking to find another Uro. That's fine. I don't want to brainstorm in my upkeep. That's potentially a really good draw if I can combine it with like a force type effect. There's a force type effect. I'll put back this plus swords. And attack the Jace. So what 1 mana artifacts did they play? They played Foundry and Expedition Map. Okay. And Soul Guide Lanterns. They played 3 and they got through all 3. It's fine. All right, so draw 3 cards. I'm going to attempt to cast Hullbreacher. Do I pitch Dress Down or do I pitch Brainstorm? I think I pitch Dress Down. I think Brainstorm just to find Uro is very important here. Also, this might just be happening. This is happening. It's quite strong for me. Yeah, Hullbreacher is just... It's not always a blowout, but like, it's always a blowout. I'm gonna get a Trop. Suppose it didn't quite matter because I have all these treasures, but I am at 2 life. But I do have the swords, so I do think that I want to attack Jace with both things. And I will definitely look to swords this construct. I think just not going to 1 is pretty important. Although, okay, so they are playing red. Interesting. How much do I care about that? It gets back sagas. So I'm gonna do this now. So it gets back saga, and then this turn, and then next turn they can make a 1/1. I think I'm okay letting this go, actually. Because they have to use the... Yeah. They have to use the constructs to chump the whole... Oh, that's right. Shit, Hullbreacher... Or it's going to be a 2/2. That's really awkward, actually. I potentially messed that one up. I kind of forgot this was a 2/2 and could trade with Hullbreacher. I'm going to Brainstorm now. I just need to dig. Thanks. That was also really bad. If they have Ragavan, I'm in big trouble, actually. Maybe I should have forced the library, huh? I'm actually going to shuffle this away. I really need to find Uro. 2 left in the deck. Jesus. All right, well. So they can make a construct that I have to trade. Like, I think I still got it. Basically, I have 2 draws. I have 2 Force of Wills, and they're going to go to 1. Yeah, I think maybe I kind of forgot that this was an artifact to make this bigger. So I think I should have captured this. But I think I might have fainted over the finish line here still. Just because of the Coatl. Phew. Alright, that was a close one. Too close for comfort. Alright. Alright. So I certainly want the other dress down. I don't think I want the back to base. I think I want the Veils, the extra carpet. I guess I'll take the Wilt. It can still destroy Urza Saga. And then EE can be set on to 1. And there's a question of this Wasteland plus Loam thing. I usually trim a couple of this stuff. And I usually go down to like 3 Force of Wills. I feel like 3 is the right number. And since I'm bringing in an extra carpet, I feel fine cutting a Windswept Heath, especially because the games also go very long. Endurance is a really hard one to quantify because it pressures planeswalkers pretty well, but like it also trades 1-for-1 with Swords to Plowshares pretty well in a bad way. So that one's difficult. These are the other cards I'm thinking about. I don't think I want Flusterstorm. They seem very, like, other than Force of Wills, it doesn't seem particular. I guess for swords, potentially. And to push through my Force of Wills. Alright. Actually, okay, so I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to leave in all the endurances. And then I just think I have enough card advantage. And I don't think Wasteland's like particularly useful given I'm playing 3 copies of Dress Down. So, oh, and I guess it should be red, so they probably play Pyroblast. Could potentially make me want Hydroblast. Maybe instead of Flusterstorm. I'm missing. Right, I'm gonna do this because they did show red. They could play Ragavon, which I want more answers for, especially swords. They're likely playing Standstill. It's just something to think about. So I think here I'm just looking for land drop. I could give up Force of Will plus Flusterstorm. In fact, I do think I want to do that. Well, now I'm certainly pondering for an extra land drop. And Hullbreacher is a pretty good follow-up. No, one thing to note is I could potentially do the Dress Down plus Uro trick, but against the Swords to Plowshares deck, I think that's just kind of not really worth it. Now the question is, am I tapping out for something? Like, am I tapping out for Uro? I think the answer is no. Because if they play like Jace or something, I want to have the Hullbreacher up. There's a Ponder below this. So I think I just want to play this super slowly. Grab the Ponder, find my 4th land, pass again, and then next turn I can play Hullbreacher plus have Flusterstorm up. Sure. Harvest is a land. So there's the Saga. could play the EE out on 0. Could just play Uro. I kind of don't mind that. I suppose if I whiff on a land, bad shape. I'm gonna take the shields down a bit. Even if I whiff on a land, I can still play this out, so I don't have to go to discard. But and if they hardcast Force, shuffling that. All right, I will play this out on 0. And then, so this is the downside that I feel about Saga in like fairer decks, is that it is kind of just like a big tempo cost where, you know, that you either have to spend 3 full mana to make a construct, or kind of like lose the value of the card. So lead on carpet. I'm actually going to play Jace here. My Kingdom for a Veil of Summer. Because I have this EE, I'm going to force pitching Dress Down. And if I find a land, I get the library. I do find a land. So this card's not doing much right now. Kind of same thing as before. So obviously, if they get to kill my or they can potentially kill my Jace with another Pyroblast, and that's annoying. I have the EE right here, so like making the construct doesn't really do much for my opponent. I guess it forces me to use the 2 mana, I suppose. Like, okay. I do have enough to play an escape Burrow, which would prompt. Yeah, it's probably the worst possible. I'm just gonna hope to get him with the Hullbreacher. Yeah, that's rough. I think that honestly, if I just found my 5th land, I would have been okay. But like having to tap out, so I couldn't fight over the Jace. Oh my god, did I just F6 to that? Alright, I'm done. Well, oh, they have the Powerless. Alright, game's over. Game's super over. I'm also lower on clock, so I'm not throwing anything. Yeah. That's frustrating. I think that if I found my 5th land, I could have just kept holding up my interaction, I would have been in perfectly fine shape. I'm gonna just run it back. Maybe the EE isn't what I want. I guess it kills like the 1 mana artifacts pretty well, but I think Ending just does that better. And then Ending can also hit Narset. So yeah, this is what we're gonna do. Could have considered Loam there, but again, I think I'll be drawing too many lands. I'm gonna keep this. I'm just gonna run out the carpet. I suppose this is a little bit worse against Prismatic Ending. Since I didn't have the second land, I really wanted to. All right. Yep. Okay. Well, I suppose that's fine for now. That's annoying. Just all these white cards and no way to shuffle. I will play out the second one though. I'm actually not going to play out this land. Yeah. I should always yield to these. All right. In theory, my opponent needs to cast spells at some point. It's fine. Possible I could have traded with that. I think the Ice-Fang can do better eventually. I'm gonna make white. Because now they have to either make a construct or make a thing. Oh, or that's fine too, I guess. That makes sense. So do I want to hold up Brainstorm or do I want to hold up Swords? I think I want to hold up. Okay, so this on top, this underneath, land for turn. We have the option to Brainstorm into Terminus if we need it. I haven't seen Pithing Needle yet, so I'm just not going to play around it with the fetch, just because the Terminus on top is too important, obviously. Yep, so they have the swords. Going to attempt to Brainstorm. Real the Terminus. Put back these two again. I think I value the swords more than the harvest, just because if this gets forced, which they might not have Force of Will in the deck anymore, or they might, I'm not sure. I'm gonna wait till second main to add the mana, just because I don't know what I want yet with Jace. I'm gonna put 2 lands back and then harvest for a spell. I could play the Endurance now. I'm just not going to. I do only have 7 minutes, so I have to focus a little bit. What if I just said okay, and then played both my creatures in their end step? Just because I feel like all these cards are too valuable to pitch with Force of Will. So that one might be fine to pitch with Force of Will, though. And then one thing I can do with Jace potentially is bounce the Coatl just so I can draw a card. No. No. Yes. Blue. Yes. Green. I'm not going to cast it. I just want to float the mana. There's a Saga. Makes sense. Makes sense. I have the answer for it, but, makes sense. They have Saga, 2 unknowns. They have 1 unknown, so I will definitely force. I'll pitch the arrow. There's an Arset in play, and the Soulguide Lantern in play. And Hullbreacher gets it done. All right. Well, that was a hard-fought battle versus Jeskai, Saga. I don't know if there were Sandstills. I don't know if there were Ragavans, but certainly very similar to some of the lists we've been seeing going around. And I think it was pretty clear that Just Down was just an absolute beating. So, all right, back for round 2. All right, we are back for what is going to be round 2. I originally recorded round 2, except I didn't hit record. So, there's that. We've won the die roll. And this hand is decent. So I'm gonna ponder for white mana, potentially a Brainstorm. That was none of those things, so I will shuffle. All right, Wastelanded. Wastelanded. Well, I'll let the ritual resolve. That's fine. I think that's also fine. Like, we have 2 endings here, so... And they can't use this right away. Obviously, whatever they take does go into exile, which is a little... But, they're down a Dark Ritual. And it looks like they might not have more mana. So, we might have time to claw back in. They did take 1 ending. They probably have more threats to play, which is fine. One of the places where Abundant Harvest is really nice, because it is a... I'm going to choose the cards. I just really want to keep this Ponder in hand. Obviously, the Terminus is actually just useless, but keeping the Ponder is really important for finding what I need. All right. It's possible I should have forced that, but I of course knew I was going to draw this Ponder, or this blue mana source for the Ponder, and this is going to show me a source of Plowshares. Just a matter of drawing the Force of Negation or the Strand next. Obviously, I can't. The issue is I can't hard cast it, but it is a pitch for Force of Will, which I think is important. Like, I think I just want to run them empty, and it sucks because it's like I'm taking a turn off where it's like I could just fetch it away, but I think just having empty blue card is good. Sure. Looks like I'm losing it anyway, so my decision didn't matter. I'm happy to have gotten this this basic island before I couldn't search the library, though. I will take that. I'm actually gonna take a non-land here, because most of the lands I get don't do anything. But if I get, did I reveal? Oh no, that was from the Thoughtseize. Okay. But if I find like Ice-Fang Coatl or Endurance, I can potentially. I'm actually just gonna let them, since hopefully I get the don't get the 1/3 of keeping a stake card in hand, but say levy. Oh. All the Coatls, all the Endurances are still in the deck. Good. Card's useless. Is another void? No. More discard. Right, well, hopefully, post board, I'll get to get my Oh, they hit 2 endurances. Rough. Hopefully, post board my Veil Summons will pull through. Yeah, them just having triple him, kind of rough. Gonna be honest. I don't know why they're using this so aggressively. I think that's a really bad line. They did just hit all 3 endurances though, so I'm gonna be hard pressed to win the game now. Yeah, useless card. Also useless card. Is this target? I just want to see for Veil somewhere for next game. Target opponent. Yep. Okay. Okay, well, it starts with a brainstorm, as they say. No, I'm dead. Because I got a 2, yeah. I'm dead. Alright, well, we learned that good draws beat bad draws. And we will go to the next game. So what do we want? We want endings. We just want, more interaction for the stuff. We want the Veils, obviously. I think we want the Loams, just because they did show us that they're on Wasteland. Mainboard Carpet showing that it's not a good idea for League play, which is fine. I think Hullbreacher is a little mopey. Like, it doesn't really do anything. The Forces are awkward because they play so much, like, 2-for-1 discard. Trim 1 Terminus, it can be hard to set this up. But I think I just want to force their business stuff and, like, push through my card advantage stuff. But maybe I go down to 1 station. How good is Dress Down? Dress Down's kind of meh, right? Like, it can fog their Confidant for a turn. Dress Down's kind of bad. I'm gonna get rid of it. If I see, like, a different creature where it's good against, then I'll bring it in. Oh, I want the Flusterstorm. Shit. If I have time, I'll... Yeah, didn't have time. Alright, well, this hand's kind of bad. But I don't think you mulligan against the box deck very often. As long as you can cast your spells. I think I actually do want to... No, because if they go Dark Ritual Ashiok, then I want to be able to get a Tundra. I'm gonna play these out. I'm gonna fetch twice. Maybe I just start getting all non-basics. Like, they can only have so many wastelands. Yeah, let's get a blue, white, green, white, and brainstorm. I'm just gonna. I want to fetch now. Do I want to fetch now? I guess not. I'm gonna, because I can shuffle away a land. Yeah, pretty simple. Land. Terminus. I could also say no to this and just bounce the Voidwalker. I'm actually going to do that. I think this is just like better use of our mana, you know? And we could potentially get a 2-for-1 on the Terminus later. Wasteland here is a tiny bit annoying because you can't harvest plus endurance, but it's okay. So the arrow is awkward here because it will get exiled. I think I'm just supposed to look for a way to kill this Voidwalker. So I'm gonna go non-land. Another Wasteland. Unless they have another Voidwalker, it's not that annoying. They didn't, so that's good. I'm gonna play out this. I play a lot more blue 1-mana spells than green, so this is the thing to put in. I'll put this in instead because it plays around Ashiok the best. Factory is interesting. Well, I will do this now while I can search. Did have the Ashiok. I'm just gonna get another tool. I want triple green so that if they draw a third Wasteland, double green. Yes. Teferi is inching up towards getting to bounce something down next turn, which is good. Okay. Frustrating. Well, I'm gonna put in my creatures so I can pressure the Ashiok. First one again. Actually, no. I'm close to hardcasting the Terminus, so I can't actually say that. Never mind, they had the third Wasteland. Okay. Again, I don't understand why they're so aggressively milling me. Because now they have to trade off here. I'm going to attack Ashiok. They didn't block, so I'm going to run this draw card. I found the 4th Wasteland. Totally normal stuff. Although honestly, it kind of is fine because it's like it's trading with my. Okay, well, let me double check. So Savannah's gone. Trop is gone. Sorry, so Savannah's gone. Trop is gone. Trop is gone. Trop is gone. So I actually literally, they have wasted me off 4 green sources, and I'm only playing 5, including this. So I literally just can't cast the Endurance again after this because they drew all 4 of their Wastelands. Normal stuff, you know. So I will cast this because I can't otherwise. This is why I play Life from the Loam, because sometimes stuff like this happens. I don't understand this attack. Well, I'm gonna eat this. I will fetch before damage, just in case they have something like Dark Ritual plus the Rogue. That one makes no sense to me, though. Gonna be honest. The pro white is kind of annoying here. Gonna be honest. I think I have to keep this though. I'm gonna shuffle these. If I do have Dark Ritual plus the thing, Okay, so I think I want the Veil, followed by the Uro, followed by the Swords. Do I want to block, or do I want to race? I can't escape Uro right now, because all 4 of my green sources are wastelanded, so I don't think I try to play a long game. I think I try to... that logic doesn't make sense, does it? Whatever. I think that attack was bad, upon second thought. So I'm going to look to block next turn. I'm actually going to hold up the Veil. Because I only have 1 green source. Maybe I just need more than 1 Loam for these like incredibly French situations. Yeah, I had a feeling they might have discard. On this Thoughtseize. Oh baby, let's go. Oh my god. Okay, so I actually don't have another thing to get with this. I had 4 wastelands. That's crazy. Yeah, I just have 1 more basic island left to get, so I'm just gonna get these 2 lands. But and now I have the mana to hardcast Terminus if that's something I need to do. I'm not judging Loam. It did its job. I still don't want to attack because once the arrow's in play, that's when I feel confident attacking. Before that, nah. Because they could just have like another Ashiok or something of that nature, you know? Or Crucible of Worlds. Well, I'm happy I Endurance their Wastelands out of their deck. Otherwise, we would be in this really awkward holding pattern. And then I'm definitely going to block and trade here. They could have another one in their hand, but I think if they're spending 4 mana to do that, then I'm winning. at this stage of the game for sure. So again, this doesn't get anything. Well, I guess it could if I endurance shuffle things back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm basically just like worried about decking a bit. I only have 19 cards left. Oh, but I guess all my endurances are gone, so that's like not a thing I can even worry about anymore. All right. Earl versus the world. They have Sudden Edict in an awkward spot. Okay. Cool. That was a ridiculous game. We still have another game. I feel like I should just be like good against this matchup because I just have all these like card advantages and like Veil of Summers and Swords of Plowshares like 1-for-1 their stuff very easily, but they felt incredibly close. So Flusterstorm like only stops him and Thoughtseize. But it would have been better than Terminus during those games. I guess part of that is because I chose not to Miracle the Terminus, which I stand by, but awkward for sure. Loam was so good there. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Loam definitely gets you out of some sticky situations that I could potentially try to run a second Forest to get out of, but in the deck tech I talked about like the reasons why I don't like that. So now I'm just debating Flusterstorm versus Terminus. Terminus is like one of my few outs to a kicked guy though, huh? Is that even true? I do just block it pretty well. I'm gonna run it back. This could be wrong. If I lose where this could have been a Flusterstorm, then that's on me. But I think I just want the one extra piece of like, don't die to their nonsense creatures. This has a Force Negation and a Veil of Summer. I'm gonna keep it. Obviously, it doesn't have a source of basic island, but you know, you can't get everything. We'll see if this was Flusterstorm, how good it would be. Bad. Who knows? Ooh. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm actually just gonna play this out. It plays around Wasteland a bit. If they him me, I can still just get green, white, and Veil. It just sucks that I could also get blue, green still. They did have the Wasteland. They also have the Dark Confidant. Okay. This is so awkward just because the Wasteland's just like sitting there looking at me. And it's like, do I want to fetch basic planes? Do I want to fetch Tundra? So I have double blue. The issue is like if they waste on me and him, like I'm not pondering next turn, I don't think. Am I pondering next turn? I don't know. I'm gonna get a second blue source. I think that's important. Or it could get green white and have double green so that they can't doesn't like waste on me off blue. Like it's just I can't do both ponder and veil for sure. So I'm just gonna get the Tundra. Prioritize my blue. Blue helps me find more lands more consistently, which allows me to play a longer game. I'm actually gonna do this, and then if I find like a fetch, I was gonna say if I find like a fetch, then I get to hold a veil. The issue is I found 3 fetches and I want them all. So I like might not want to Veil, but I think that I just can't leave this dangling because they can just Wasteland me plus him me if I played out the Trop. So I just need to do this, unfortunately. Like, it's not ideal. You know, if I have to fetch away this I guess I'm gonna do this, and then I'm pretty close to just like drawing the 4th fetch. Really. It really depends on what they do with their turn, obviously. Right, well, now I'm definitely not. I don't have white mana. I want Death Touch on this thing. How important is Death Touch on this thing? Not that important. So Tundra's gone. I just don't want to force it, you know? Like, I have so much removal in the deck. But I would want to see if I'm getting removal. Alright, I'm gonna fetch green white. Tropical. I'm gonna have Ice-Fang Coatl. And then this lets me get 1 card deeper before I decide if I want to force or not. I am gonna force a will. I think that the combination of Veil plus Coatl gives me enough kind of insurance against like the rest of the things that their deck can do. Like, if they him me, I have Veil. If they Ashiok me, I have, you know, board presence to attack it. I can now tap for black. That's like the actual worst possible, huh? All right. Might have to cycle the Ice-Fang just to keep digging for like Brainstorm or Jace or something. I'll take the 2 though. If they start attacking, when they attack with this, that's kind of when I get that. They're gonna target me. They've cast a blue or black spell this turn, so I'm gonna cycle this Veil. All right, I'm gonna do this now while I can. Actually, let me no, because this is kind of free in the sense that like it's giving me a land right away. So green, blue. I'm gonna harvest for non-land. These are all like decent. I only get to keep one though because of Ashiok. I think I want it to be Endurance just so I can pressure the Ashiok with it. And Endurance can also potentially shuffle cards into my library, which my opponent seems kind of hell-bent on decking me here. Okay. Get off this Veil somewhere. Not the best draw, but it's not a fetch land, so it's not the worst. Although I guess this turn I can just hardcast Terminus, huh? I get a 2-for-1 here. I guess, no, it is a 2-for-1 because the Ice-Fang that was killed cycled, so I get a 2-for-1 off that. I'm going to use a fetch land to do it, just because it's kind of the same. And it's something the opponent knew about, so it's information. Right, this game is close. I think that if I get to untap and cast my Endurances, I'm in good shape. If I get like himmed, then I'm in less good shape. I have a feeling they're sitting on the 2-mana guy with kicker, unfortunately. Or just another Thoughtseize. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think it sucks because it. Oh, well, never mind. I guess they're milling me. If they had not milled me, I think I would have had to target myself with Endurance just so that I don't mill out. What do I have left? I have one more Endurance in the deck, so I can start looping them potentially. You have the Jace left as a win con. Fortunately, they hit 4 spells. Not that you can like know these sort of things, but it literally just does mean that there's a higher percentage of lands left in the deck. Force is a good pickup. They still have the Urborg, so this is pretty identical. If they attack with the factory, it means they can't also kick Turok guy. They must have like another Ashiok in hand or something. They mill my Jace. That's really bad for me. So I'm gonna do this first. Do I force this? I think the answer is yes. Because if I just play the Endurance and they have another removal spell, like another Eliminate as one of the last 2 cards, then I can't force that, and then I can't kill the Ashiok. So at least this gives me the chance to play Endurance next turn and kill Ashiok. Yeah. Had a feeling. So I'm happy with how I played for sure. I'm gonna play out this again. it's just kind of rough that like 4 of our last 5 or 3 of our last 4 draws have been lands or something like that. No, they just hit all our business. So I don't. The only punish I see here for blocking is if the last 2 cards are land Liliana the Veil. And I think I just want to, because all the other removal is just instant speed. I think I just want to kill their land if I can. Oh, sure. I guess I get to feed this farm. Awkward. But I think they're at the point where they don't want to use Ashiok anymore. That's my guess. That's still like a 2 for 1, you know? Like, it did get the, Oh my god. That's fucking unreasonable. Just 5 lands in a row. At least we're good against this card. Bad against a threat, obviously. Neat, a threat. Well, we do still have 2 endings in the deck. I'm gonna discard this. It did have another Ashiok. Well, it's not nothing. Our life total is a little precarious. But hopefully we can find like an endurance or an ending. Either one of them would be reasonable against the Liliana, and then okay, that's good. Yes. So I'm actually just gonna put on top. Yeah, they play things like him and blue, black, and whatnot. There's not really a reason to, keep that on top or put that in our hand, and so we can pay the life later potentially. There's a Dauthi. All well and good. One swords. That's fine. Taking second arrow is really rough. Okay. So again, I think I'm not going to pay life. So put on top. Put on top. And then what I can do is I can blue, green, whatever with the Uro, and then I can draw the card. And then before Uro gets exiled, am I playing this out? I guess I am. I can swords this, Uro goes to the graveyard. And if they break off, there is a small chance that we can win in time. And by in time, I mean with cards in library. We do have one more endurance to potentially shuffle some cards back into our deck. Becoming increasingly relevant. I'm gonna draw the ending. So this is a trick you can do with libraries. If you know the top card is good, you can draw it and then respond to your trigger. Do I have what? You know what? Instead of figuring out what I have left to fetch, because I want to fetch to put cards in my graveyard anyway. I'm just gonna do that. All right, and now I think I pay life. The 3, 4, 5 potentially. I need to make sure I leave blue, blue, green, green. Bop. Bop. 4. Oh, I'm so stupid. I fetched the wrong thing with my Heath. The endurance is pretty clutch here. That might even be better than escaping the arrow, but I think that's just not true. So yeah, so this has no fetchables because I'm a donkey. But I will not play this out. I just need some him insurance, basically. Like if they draw him to Turok, I want to potentially discard the force instead of the endurance. Basically, I view this game. A lot of this game is going to be using endurance that I don't deck. Okay, that doesn't do anything. They would have played it last turn, so that was their draw for the turn. I'm going to always yield to the library, and then I'm a little bit low on clock. So put on top. On top. I'm going to kill this now. And I'm going to put the Coatl into play now. In case they like have a sudden edict, basically. And my plan is to brainstorm. Oh no, I guess it doesn't quite matter. Okay, fine. So 3, 2, 1, 0. No, I guess I don't want this. So I'm gonna fetch twice. Yep. I guess no, because I want to attack with the endurance. So I'm gonna fetch twice. And then put these 3 cards back into my graveyard. Or library, rather. There's 1 swords left, which can clear the Confidant, which so the swords effectively deals 4 because Uro gets to attack. So put on top, put on top. I should have drawn first. Like I should have attacked with arrow first. I'm just a little bit under time pressure. Actually, I mean, this game is over. and I have 4.5 minutes left and a Forcible in hand, so I think I did get there. I'll say no to the library, just in case. I know 5 is less than 3 or more than 3. See, look, I'm losing my mind now. I'm gonna say no to the library. They already have everything I need. This can't do anything for them. Okay. I was possible I should have counted. I mean, no, they have 1 card left. Obviously, I should not counter that. What a ridiculous game. Yeah, wow. So using every piece of the buffalo, as it were, including cards in library. I do feel like my opponent milled me a little too aggressively. I do like their attack with the factory to get me to play the endurance. I thought that was a slick move, but I didn't mind making that trade. But yeah, 6 games. Kind of crazy to have gotten there, but yeah, all right. Well, I will see you for the final round. All right, we are here for the 3rd and final round. Currently 2-0. We beat Jeskai, like Urza Saga type thing, and basically Pox, Pox with some new cards. This hand is interesting. I think it's a keep. The Heath is obviously not ideal because we can't get a basic island. But our opponent is on 5 and we have Force of one hand, so that's stuff I like. And they didn't reveal a Chancellor of the Annex, so, also very important. Aether Vial. I am going to Forcible Aether Vial. This is actually a matchup I've definitely been wanting to test. I assume this is Death and Taxes. Just because I think it's kind of tough. They have a lot of really good tools against you. Ending was certainly a nice upgrade, but basically they just have so many ways to answer Uro that it can be difficult to get that one going. What I want to draw here, though, I think I want Ending before Uro, which makes this awkward because like both are pretty good. But yeah, I think I just have to get my mana up underneath me. I could just draw the Uro and not kill the Thalia, but I think that just killing Thalia this turn leads into Teferi next turn being a good play. So I'm casting Ending for X equals 1, and then the Thalia tax makes it cost 2 manas. So Thalia foolishly playing into her own demise there. If she had just let me cast it for X equals 1, it wouldn't have killed her. That's not Thalia, I can't help her there. Interesting. That almost makes me not want a Teferi. But because okay, so what can they have here? They don't have Stoneforge, they don't have Vial, they don't have Mom, they don't have Thalia. They don't have Recruit of the Guard. So it feels like Flicker Wisp, Swords to Plowshares, and Skyclave Apparition. Those are the ones that make sense here. And Teferi's not great against Skyclave, but it is still drawing a card before it dies, and it does take the opponent's whole turn. So I'm going to do it. I'm not going to tick up, obviously. That'd be a little bit suicidal. Now I'll get my basic set up around Wasteland. Okay, okay. The Teferi down. Not the way I expected, but still fine. I decided to be the most mana efficient, do the 3 mana play as opposed to 2 mana play. Because even though this is like a lot better at finding a land, that land doesn't let me do much with my turn. Suppose it would potentially let me brainstorm and then put Terminus on top, but I think just trying to set up a Terminus where there's this going on already is just not ideal. All right, that seems reasonable. I have the Force of Will, should I need it? And then the Tropical Island is underneath that. I might actually not. That one's fine. At this point, it's fine. I might actually not escape the Uro until I have 6 mana. Where if they go to Caracas it, I can Swords the Thalia at least. So I'm just gonna do this, and then I can play Endurance to block Thalia if they attack. And if they don't, I'll just Brainstorm, looking for a 6th. They do get to save their Thalia, obviously, and replay it. But I get to Brainstorm in response for the 1 mana, which lets me fetch away any bad cards and get to that 6 mana threshold. Ooh, Wasteland. All right. It's fine. Interesting. Oh, that's actually, my opponent's been playing really well. It's just really smart of them to not. I'm gonna get rid of this. I think it's not needed. They just don't want to play the Thalia out while their Caracas is taken down. I'm gonna get the Savannah. Just want to make sure I have like the maximum amount of green sources. So if I Endurance my library, what do I want in it? Probably spells and fetchable lands. Yeah. So that was Mold 5, and they didn't really have much of the mana denial stuff there. So definitely on the lower end of what that deck is capable of. So the biggest thing is I am not sure how to board against this deck, basically. I know these 4 are bad. Hullbreacher, Force, Carpet are all pretty bad. And I want to cut 1 Force of Will. I think that much I know. Then the stuff I'm not sure about is this, and this. And to some extent, a Harvest or a Ponder. I'm going to move this stuff over a bit just to... And then here's the things I know I want. I know I want the 3rd one of this. I know I want the EE. I want the Wasteland because you can hit like Caracas. The Artifact Destruction is really good. And then Loam is really important. And as you can see, and then, sorry, and I want the 3rd dress down. And then this is a maybe. So as you can see, I have 3 cards to cut. and I'm not sure. Good. I think that endurance is a cut. It's kind of hard because it's like the body is so good in combat, like it's huge, you know. But um, but it trades with the swords to plowshares like just 1-for-1 a little too easily for my liking, and I think that sometimes the threat of endurance does enough to like dissuade your opponent from, you know, attacking optimally if they could see your hand. And so I think it's kind of it's casting this aura over the game even if it's not actually in your hand. So I don't mind going down to 2. I think back to basics is kind of bad because I play a lot on basics myself, and it's just like hard for me to maneuver a turn where this is going to be like particularly backbreaking. And sometimes it just like doesn't do much. You know, like you saw that the stuff over there. Sometimes it just doesn't do enough. I think I get rid of that, and then I think it's just the Abundant Harvest, or maybe it's the Ponder. Maybe Harvest is better because it can hit lands and it works through Spirit of the Labyrinth. And so this is what we're gonna go with. Okay. All right. Good. Good. Hope this is good. Other things that I can think about are like cutting the Teferi because it's a little bit low impact, or an Uro because, like we said, they have a lot of ways to deal with Uro, but if they're using a swords to deal with it, then you got card advantage. If they're using a Skyclave Apparition to deal with it, you know, that card isn't hitting anything else, and you probably get card advantage. And if they're using Caracas, it's like a repeated source of. See, it's like pretty good, except for the mana situation. I'm gonna keep this. This is risky, but I'm on the draw. It's fine. I have a force for that. So I'm gonna brainstorm end step. Really awkward. Well, I would have to go to discard, so I'm just gonna do this. Hope they hit a land. They're down. All right. Well, we did see 5 cards and not a second land. It's gonna be awkward. I'm just going to. Sorry. What am I doing here? A path to victory. I'm gonna get rid of the Jace. I'm going to cast this now. Just so that if they're porting me, they're not also developing the battlefield. Yeah, I mean, like we could run the hyper on that, obviously. But I think that 5 looks is enough. Where I feel comfortable keeping, even in the face of it being a non-basic. You know, I'm actually going to shuffle this stuff away because if they have a Wasteland or another port, then I don't get to cast the Ponder, and I'm resigned to drawing 2 non-lands. Obviously, incredibly far behind. They have 2 more permanents on the battlefield, or 3 more permanents on the battlefield, and same number of cards in hand. And I don't even have all my colors. This is gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I will take the opportunity to source this though. I think if there's a way I get out of this, it's by keeping my life total safe and dragging the game on very long so that I can recoup this card disadvantage. Their land is excellent here. Yeah, I mean, so that was foolish. I should have fetched or put the land on top that could get me a basic forest. Although in the face of this port, it's not as relevant, I guess. But obviously, it's just. The nice thing about Wilt is that it cycles. So if they don't present a target, or if they draw an extra port and start, double porting me in one, I have. Or ways to use my mana at the very least. I think one thing I could have done differently in this game, looking back, is that I should have on, when I brainstormed in their end step on their turn 2, and I didn't see that I would find a second land. At that point, I should have used the Force of Vigor to kill the Vial, so I wouldn't have had to go to discard. And if that had happened, obviously I would have had an extra card in hand. I don't know if I would have had an opportunity to cast this Jace given the ports, but I think that obviously it would have been better. And you could argue that the hand was more well. Like I think that's not true, but it's not something I'm very confident. Because we had Force blue card, we had Force of Vigor green card. We are playing 21 lands as well. Obviously, the Wasteland's not a colored source, but if you Wasteland or a Shatter Import, it kind of is like drawing an extra colored source in a way. In a way, it's not. It doesn't exactly track, but it's similar. All right. I guess on the bright side, they're not doing much, so we can potentially find things like Ice-Fang Coatl or Endurance, things of this nature. Uro. Like I said, there's the Caracas sitting here, and it's gonna be hard for us to get double green at any point in time, but certainly single green is doable. Oh hey, single green, or oh hey Uro, I should say. Fine. I definitely want to get the basic because it's important that I at least get one source of green mana. Although I guess this does get a non-basic green, huh? Like a prop. And I don't want to get Savannah, I think, because I think I want them to have to decide between taking me off green or white mana. Although, does that logic make sense? Well, the logic doesn't actually make sense. So yeah, Savannah it is. I suppose they could take me off blue mana. Oh, that's interesting. It was not something I considered, is that they could also now just decide to take me off blue mana instead. I'm gonna save that actually. Because like say I top deck Loam, and like they draw, like, if they have another Wasteland and I top deck Loam, I want to have a green source like protected. Suppose it's bad if they because if I played it out, they wouldn't port both my blue sources. They would just port like 2 green sources. It's also good against Cataclysm. So I think I'm keeping white. Oh, I guess I should keep green white. Yeah. All right. Green white. Done. Yeah. All right. Well, I do get to kill this. This is not nothing. Terminus would be nice here. Well, if they don't draw a Wasteland, or don't have a Wasteland, I should say, because they can still have it in hand. I do get to harvest for a land. I don't think we're coming back from this. I think we're just going to lose a little bit too quickly to this. Although if we draw swords, we have something. They have Cauldron and 2 unknowns. I gotta imagine one of them is Swords to Plowshares, Like, they just haven't been doing anything, And because they only have 1 port now, so there's no reason to float mana anymore. No! That would have been so good last turn. So I'll go land, obviously. Dang it. It was just the wrong order, huh? Dang it. Kudos to my opponent, too, for porting the white mana. That was a good play. And then if I want to use this fetch land, I'm dead. And it's also, is the Tundra gone? Tundra's gone, so I don't even have a white source I can fetch. I actually don't know. I guess Ice-Fang buys me a turn. Dang it. And then everything, just the perfect wrong order, Where this would have been good 2 turns ago, this would have been good last turn. Just like everything is exactly 1 turn off. A little frustrating, but what can you do? I guess that 1 turn off would have been the Jace Brainstorm I got, so that's what I get, I guess. But now I'm basically done. I need to draw like non-fetch land plus light from the Loam. I think I'm on nuts. I'm gonna concede. Dang it, that was a close one. One felt so close. All right. But I think I like how I boarded. You could say back to basics versus Hullbreacher, but as you saw in the games, like my mana base is suspect. I will run this back. Yeah, it's pretty good. My mana is much more set up this time. I ponder, hopefully to find a third mana source. Yeah, I think these are all pretty good. I think we probably want to fetch basic forest with this, so I'm gonna do this. If they play Mom, I have to swords it, obviously. If they play Vial, I have ending for it. Do I want to ending or do I want to play? I think I want to play Coatl. And then next turn I can ending. Interesting if I want to, like, what color I want to fetch though, because I can fetch green, white, and then I'm a little bit weak to Wasteland. But if they have Mother of Runes, I'm actually gonna get green white just because if they have Mother of Runes, I want to be able to keep up the Swords to Plowshares. I think I forced this. Yeah. Just so I can kill the other one. And now, if they play like a Stoneforge Mystic, I have Dress Down to counter the triggered ability. Thalia is a little annoying, I guess. I guess now I'm looking for a Brainstorm. I don't mind Loam though. I certainly don't mind that. And I'm not blocking this turn, so I will attack. Next turn, what I can do is I can play Dress Down and then look to trade the Coatl with Athalia, and then if they bounce it with Caracas, I can swords it. It's a potential option for sure. So this might be dumb, but I am going to hold a land so that I play around Cataclysm a bit. So they have to Caracas their Thalia before this comes down if they want to save it. Because then I can sword save if they don't. I can also choose to let it go and swords the Mother of Runes instead. That enters as a 3/2 with no abilities. Cool. Do I want to kill the Solitude? I think I do. I have this EE from my mom. And I think next, I want to Loam next turn just so that I can start playing out like extra lands, but also be secured from Cataclysm. This is the one that deals me damage. So. Alright, so there's 2 lands in here right now. I'll get the third. Get it in there. And the really nice thing about Loam against Cataclysm is that as long as you have 1 land in your hand, you just you leave a forest in play, you play your land for turn, and then you just get back the 3 lands that Cataclysm got rid of. So it's just like they just can't Cataclysm me here. I'm not going to judge Loam though. Let's get this Tropical Island because there's 2 more left in the deck, and I will cast Ponder. Not really sure what I'm looking for right now. Probably just like, Brainstorm Swords, all pretty good. I have 2 drops and 2 basic islands left in the deck. That's kind of what I gotta focus on. They're playing out their lands, which makes me think they're not likely to have Cataclysm. Alright, so I'm going to escape the Uro. Green. Yeah. I'll leave up 3 colors of mana. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then with this draw trigger on the stack, I'm going to fetch just because I don't want to draw the extra land. I'm not putting a land into play. Like I said, I'm going to hold 1 land in my hand to play around Cataclysm. I think what I'm likely to do is take the 3 for 1. I was gonna say if they play out a board, I was likely to Brainstorm plus Terminus. As it stands, I'm probably just gonna go to my turn. I guess I could just play this now. See if I draw anything relevant, like a Jace or a Ponder or whatever. No need to judge Loam. I'm gonna hold this stuff. So That's fine. I think this is good enough to Terminus. Just because I can't attack in with the Coatl. This is the worst one. Definitely don't want to judge Loam there. It feels at this point it feels like Caracas, like a second Caracas is an extra card they probably have. And I will lay out this to get rid of the extra fetch land on top of my library. I still have this one thing for Loam, so plays planes. College of Complete is also a card that they could have. I'm gonna play the Ice-Fang and just see kind of what happens. All right, that's fine. Pull for that too. So now I'm really just looking for like Jace or, you know, another Uro, Endurance, things like that. I have dress downs to stop their ETBs. That's fine. So one thing that dress down will do is that it lets, if you have an Uro, you can put it in front of the 5/5 and then it loses like all its special effects. I'm actually just going to ending this. Just because I can swords like a creature if they go to equip it, you know? Connor, great draw. Kind of like all this stuff. I know Kaldra is indestructible. But you know, I can Coatl end step, draw the Force plus Harvest, Harvest for another spell. Yeah, okay. Non-land. Arrow's a pretty solid pickup here. If they have another land, they can equip, yes, while leaving up that. I'm gonna source this though. Yep, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not judging Loam. So 1, 2, plus 5, 6, 7. So they can't do everything. I'm gonna make a weird play. Put this on 2. Just so I don't have to go to discard. And then next turn I can like play Teferi, and I do still. Oh wait, no, I only have 1 Force of Will left in the deck. Okay. And now also now if they go to equip, I can pop the EE. I do still have 1 more land to get with this, so I'm fine with this again. That's fine. Okay, so I think this is weird, but what I want to do is Brainstorm and put the Loam in my hand. Put 1 land back, and I think put the Force of Vigor back. And then I'm gonna Endurance myself, just so I don't deck. Okay. Chosen number's 1, that's fine. Okay, you have a 7/7. I could just race here, right? Yeah. You want to attack? I'm not blocking. And in the end step, I'm going to. Honestly, do I even care about the. Whatever. We only have 5 minutes left, so gotta be careful. I will adjust out on the end step, just to cycle. And I can cast 1 mana spells next turn. This card's not great against whatever you name it, doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm gonna attack for 5. Unfortunately, the artifact is still indestructible because it doesn't lose the abilities. I'm actually gonna play Teferi. And I'm gonna bounce the dress down. And that's fine. I'll go to discard. What to get rid of though is probably just the excess arrow. So what am I looking for here? I guess like a Swords to Plowshares. Oh shit! It gains the stuff. That's awkward. It was going away anyway. It's fine. I guess it's not fine because yeah, I should have let the equip happen first. I guess. Oh. Interesting. And they certainly lose that race, but I'm not complaining. All right, they figured it out. The awkward thing is now they have protection, so I'm gonna have to play the dress down. Although I mean, I was kind of like priced into playing the dress down anyway. I'm gonna do this though first. It's an interesting one. It's just like kind of tough. All right, whatever. I guess again, I still have 1 land in hand, so I can just put this into play. It doesn't really hurt me at all. Yeah, I'll pass. I really gotta focus. The issue is I don't want to Swords and have them gain life. Kind of the big thing. So that's fine. And I don't want to Terminus because I lose my board. That's fine. So plus this Teferi. I'm gonna do. Okay, yeah. So I'm actually gonna do this now. And Swords the Mom. So they go to 7, then down to 5. And then I am going to escape the arrow. Just to get one card deeper. Oh, whoops. Yeah. Okay, so that was actually kind of poor sequencing. I'm gonna Brainstorm. I'm just looking for Force of Will at this point. Okay, good. And I have enough. Super awkward. Yeah, okay, so I completely flubbed that turn. It's just a time pressure thing. So I think I should have escaped arrow before playing the dress down, obviously. But I think it's not going to matter because I have a that on board, can't do anything about it, and I have a Force of Will for any top decks they might have. I don't know of any uncounterable stuff they do. That's fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. I'm not going to time out. Whew! Got there. Nice. Awesome, awesome. And the trophy. There you go. Okay, so that was a sick last game for sure. Life from the Loam and Absolute House. You see, we got the max value league. The matches I didn't show in this 3-match set. There was a red green madness deck that I wanted to record and I just forgot to hit record. And then I think this was a Bant mid range deck. Yeah. Okay. So nice little spread, makes a blue and non-blue, and this deck performed pretty well, obviously. And I will be right back for the end of set review. Okay, welcome back for the end of match summary. So we 3-0'd this set. We beat Death and Taxes, we beat Pox, and we beat Jeskai. Like Urza Saga. I'm assuming there was Standstill in there as well, but we didn't see it. So like Jeskai Standstill. Which is nice little spread. A little bit of blue, a little bit of non-blue, and a little bit of 2005 Legacy. I think this deck is really good. I think that the abundance of instant speed threats make it really hard for your opponent to play around everything. And then in addition, dress down can just lead to some pretty big blowouts in combat. In addition with Coatl and Endurance. We got to see versus Death and Taxes that Coatl into Thalia plus Mother of Runes. Dress down and made that so kind of awkward for them to be able to do anything about that. And we never got to dress down plus Uro this league. And I think that, we played against 2 Swords to Plowshares decks in our, 3-match set. So it's a little bit risky to do it there, but it is another, avenue of attack you have available to you. Ending, similarly, very good. Just it's an incredibly versatile answer to anything in the format, and really helps the deck beat these kind of like weird, unexpected angles that people might come at you with. Oftentimes the way Delver beats weird things like Sylvan Library or Blood Moon or like choke or weird enchantments, is just by being aggressive and being on the board before those things can get down and matter. But as a control deck, you don't really have that luxury. So ending is just like a really solid addition to this archetype. I really like a lot of these numbers. The one Hullbreacher seems to be, I think, where I want to be, because against a lot of the non-blue matchups, it really doesn't do much of anything. But against the blue matchups, it can really shine. And I think the fact that it's only a one of means that people kind of just have to play into it, when and so when you have it, it just becomes very effective. And in addition, with all like the other flash threats, it's just like, well, they could have their endurance, or they could have their Hullbreacher, or they could have their Ice-Fang. I'm going to cast my Brainstorm. And then if you happen to have the Hullbreacher, it's just a blowout every time. In the sideboard, the Life of the Loam was absolutely clutch in our last two matches. Just, rebuying lands that were wastelanded was incredibly valuable and allowed us to keep playing the game, in a few instances. It almost makes me want to find room for a second one. It's difficult because the list is so tight as is. It's possible this back to basics just like isn't cutting it, and it could just be better served as another Loam. The Wasteland, I'm also not sure of. I think it would have been good against taxes if we had found it a little earlier in the game, Like, we were basically down to the last, 15 or 20 cards of our library before we saw it. And so, it was kind of past the time where Wasteland and the Caracas, so that Uro could take over the game, was a thing. But by that point, we had kind of already taken control of the game, so it didn't matter as much. I think this is still worth testing. Again, just as like a nice little pair with Loam and a way to deal with Caracas or other utility lands that your opponent is playing. But the list seems pretty solid, seems pretty tight. I like where the numbers are at. I think I want to try and find room for a second Loam, just because it is so impactful in those non-blue Wasteland matchups where Carpet of Flowers doesn't do anything. But it's hard because it's not great in multiples, and you don't want to flood out in the late game, so it's a difficult balancing act. But yeah, those were the matches. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you got a sense of the myriad of things this card can do, and kind of just different ways it can screw with your opponent that might be unexpected. See y'all later. Bye, guys.